So just taking some flexi in light grey, and I'm just marking it with a slightly darker grey. A slightly darker grey permanent marker every couple of mil, and that'll give me my barred effect. I know you won't be able to see all of this in the camera, but get the idea. So that's pretty much done, and that's going to be my antennae. Just show you, right, I'm going to stretch this. Right, it's very, very durable. So I'm going to take a size 6 Ahrex light stinger. It's the NS122. I wouldn't go any bigger in this set of jaws than this hook. If it was a 4, I'd have to change the jaws, to be honest. So I'm gonna, again, just something I like to do, I'm gonna add a hot spot to the head of this shrimp. So for that reason, I'm going to start with my fluorescent red thread, but you could use other fluorescent colours. Orange should work well as well. Maybe you could use yellow, it's up to you. I think red or orange is probably the best, in my experience. And just build up a little bed there, and then locate that strand of flexi floss that I just had in my hand. And this is just going to form the antenna. So this is a sand shrimp. It's a little bit different to a prawn, I suppose, to best describe. So these live down on the sand in areas where there's a lot of sand. They're not really hiding in under kelp and weeds like your typical prawns, and they have a very flat nose on the head of them. So just trim this, okay. They have these 2 antennae that kind of come out the front, and sometimes they curl back and so on, but they're not massive long. So that's about the length of the hook shank should be good enough for those. Then I want to add just a very, very small amount of wispy fibre. So I'm going to use some craft tour in grey for that. It's very light grey. I'm just going to pull out some fibres here. Don't want much, just a tiny amount, really. And I'm just going to add those in. And I don't want them too long, so you know, maybe 3/4 to the length of the shank. Snip that off. I'll leave a bit to help with the taper in the body. And next I'm going to add some grey barred. It's a light grey barred marabou. I'm just going to use the top of a feather, and that's going to kind of form that flat head snout type appearance that you get on these. So I'm just going to trim that off, give it a twist like a rope, make sure there's no bits and pieces where I don't want them. I'm going to sit that up on top. Now you can add 1 or 2 strands of flash to your shrimp and prawn patterns as well. A lot of people seem to like to do that. Not something I usually do, but you can. So again, I just look kind of conscious of the taper here. I don't want to go back over all the materials because I don't want to use this colour thread for that job. So I'm going to get some ice pearl dubbing here, and I'm going to dub some on. I'm going to go a bit more, a bit more. Good, bit of bulk in it there. I'm going to get my dubbing too, and that's going to add a bit of flash around there anyway. And by brushing this out, it's going to let that hot spot show through the material a bit easier. So I'm pretty much finished with this fluorescent red now. So let's give it 2 turns to do a finisher there. Trim it off. So as I said, this is more of a shrimp than a prawn. I'll get my white thread now. Catch that in. Just trap down those fibres. And again, I'm only going to go back so far here really for the moment. And I'm going to get a set of eyes. So I'm going to use the Easy Shrimp eyes in medium for this. And I just want them to sit here in front of that ball of dubbing. Now the other thing is the sand shrimp's eyes aren't too spread out, they're just a little bit spread out, so don't worry if you're catching these strands and just pulling them in a tiny bit. That's not a bad thing. I'm going to trim this. I'll use a different scissors really for that. And just take a little bit off it just to help with the last taper down that end. And just going to lock that in place. You could super glue it, but I don't think there's a need. It's up to you. If you want, add a drop of super glue to it there. Okay, so I'm going to start adding some legs. Okay, so what I'm going to use for the legs here is it's a D-rib. It's kind of a D-rib that I've knotted, and it's got some spots along it as well. So again, you can easily add that yourself. Okay, so I'm just going to catch them in there, and I'll trim them down now to the length I want. Try and keep them roughly the same length. That was probably a little bit longer than the other one. Touch off it. Okay, and just trap those in. So again, this is a good durable stretchy material. So just cut them a bit short again. It's going to help with the fly. So the easiest thing here now is to create a small double loop. Let's bring my thread down a bit. Let's grab my dubbing spinner here. And grab another pinch of that ice pearl and sit it in your double loop and spin. Catch your thread. Now you can use the hackle pliers if you want. I have plenty space here. I don't have any other legs or anything tied in, so I'm not too worried. And if you want, you can kind of figure of 8 it or bring it around your legs just to make them stand out a bit more. I've lost my catching point there, but I think we're okay. And then I'm going to trap that down. So just have a look at these legs. They're not bad. Then I'm going to get another couple. And catch these in. So, and I get the other one. Sweet. Trim them off the same length there. And I want them a little bit shorter than the other legs. Sweet. Just make another double loop. Go back a bit to where you might want to position your next set of legs. And get another bit of your dubbing. It's up to you really. Depends what colour shrimp you want to tie as regards your dubbing. Spin that. Is that leg getting caught in it now, which we didn't want? That's fine. Right. Just keep your legs out of the way. Come back one. And then I just push them. One more turn on it there. Trap it in. A couple of turns either side of that, and then just be careful here. Okay. So that's probably enough legs, to be honest with you. So for the last bit of dubbing, I'm not going to use a dubbing loop. I'm just going to come back to the eye here and just dub on a reasonably heavy bit of dubbing. Then I'm just going to come forward and then just go back through it, and that'll finish it out. I'm just going to throw a hitch in there. Okay. And I'll get my brush and strand something sticking out there that shouldn't be. I'm just going to brush it forward first a bit and then down. This one is a bit more wiry. So that's what you're kind of looking at on the back. You want to get the back. Usually just mice my fingers a tiny bit, just get everything down out of the way. And then, you know, get as much of it as you can. Right. I'm going to get some flex resin. I'm going to put the resin, started here between the eyes, and I'm going to blob it on all the way back to the eye of the hook. Now you could set that if you want and add a second coat to do this, but I'm going to do this in one if I can. So I'm just going to separate these eyes and I'm just going to lay this back on top. So this is a Spro shrimp back. Okay, I'm just going to catch the tip of it in here. I don't have to tighten it or anything, just catch it in just for control. I'll show you this shrimp back in a minute, and then I'm going to just keep it pressed down a bit. And what I'm trying to do is just kind of keep it fairly central, and then I'm going to hit it with this torch. And that back is going to stick. Okay, in that flex resin, like so. And my hotspot, you can see, still shows true, and it still shows true underneath. So I'm going to finish off this thread. And I'll show you that back. So it's a Spro shrimp back, and what I've done is, these come with eyes, but because I've used my own eyes, being a sand shrimp, I've just trimmed those little eyes off with my scissors, just the black bits, before I stuck on the back, because I didn't want it to look like it had two sets of eyes. Okay, so just sort out your legs the way you want them, and you have your feelers. And what you can do then is you can coat the whole lot again once more with a thin resin as a sort of secure, and it will cover those wraps of thread that you finished off, like so. And then get your torch and just set that. So that's just a really thin UV resin. It's got good markings on them, so you don't really have to do anything with a marker or anything yourself. There's your finished shrimp.